So I'm filming this at 9:43 in the morning London time. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBot Solutions, and back in Arizona, it is 2:43 a.m. So we have about, what is that, 5 hours, right under 5 hours before the stock market opens. And it's not looking very good for two specific reasons. And just like in yesterday's video, I'm going to go ahead and break it down. I hope you learned something new. And if you do, please consider dropping a thumbs up and subscribing if you feel like we earned it. The first thing that I want to show you guys is NASDAQ is beginning to retrace. NASDAQ market was selling off, just like I made you guys all aware before it actually even happened. It's just very simple news. The market was bound to recover because supposedly on March 4th, which was 2 days ago, Trump set up a 25% tariff for both Canada and Mexico. On March 5th, supposedly Trump was supposed to roll back those tariffs, which of course markets sold off because of those tariffs. So rolling back on those tariffs would mean that markets could potentially slightly recover. And that's essentially what happened. There was hope that these tariffs were going to be rolled back, so the market began to recover. Markets went back to highs of 500 after hitting lows of 491. This is for QQQ. I want to compare it also to MSTR. Let me pull it up very quickly. MSTR went from lows of 271. Of course, Bitcoin is a little bit more overhyped up, a little bit more volatile. MSTR went from 271 all the way up to highs of 320 during the overnight hours on Webull, right? If you guys don't have Webull and you want to trade overnight, it's the 5th link in the description down below. But like we've seen many times before, not just the stock market, but of course Bitcoin gets ahead of itself. If things don't actually come into fruition, then the markets end up retracing. And that's essentially what we're seeing right now. Not only did markets return back from highs of 320, but because of its very aggressive push into the market close, we are also seeing a retracement now. Pre-market, we are down 2.24% for MSTR, which means that if we continue to hold below 300, we could potentially continue to retrace back down to lows of 275. So the idea of things can get worse before they get better is definitely possible. And let me explain. There's some good news that's coming for crypto, and I want to make sure that I talk about it, but there is also some concerns. So the original reason that the markets were recovering yesterday for majority of the market was because of what was supposed to happen with these rollbacks. It sounds like, based off of, and again, please let me know what you kind of get from this message from Donald Trump. It says, Justin, who's the Canada Prime Minister, called to ask what could be done about these tariffs. I told him that many people have died from fentanyl that came from the borders of Canada and Mexico, and nothing has convinced me that it has stopped. He said that it's gotten better, but I said that's not good enough. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner, kind of good, right? Not terrible. He was unable to tell me when the Canadian election is taking place, which made me curious, like, what's going on here? I then realized he is trying to use this issue to stay in power. Good luck, Justin. I don't think that sounded like an agreement was going to be made. It sounds like supposedly Justin, who's the Prime Minister of Canada, was trying to make things happen to better position himself for when the election does end up happening in Canada. And based off of my take from this, and again, this is just my opinion, it doesn't sound very helpful. Like Trump is going to be very motivated to try to renegotiate with Canada because, again, if you guys haven't seen, and please feel free to do your own due diligence yourself, supposedly this Prime Minister Justin has been very outspoken about what they are going to do to try to retaliate against the United States. And don't get me wrong, I get that. You don't want to, get on your knees right off the bat to the United States just because Trump is asking. I get that. No president should just have that initial reaction. But based off of the messages and conversations I've seen Justin have, and again, feel free to do your own due diligence, it sounds like he's saying, okay, you put a 25% tariff on us, we're going to do a 25% tariff on you, and then on top of that, we're going to do a 100% tariff on all Teslas because, again, I guess he's not a big fan of Elon and the influence that he might be having on Trump. To me, I view that to be somewhat petty, and especially if you understand the position that the United States is in, and both Canada and Mexico make up about 2.3% of our overall GDP combined. The US, based off of what we take from Canada, we make up anywhere from 17 to 20% of Canada's GDP. So a much larger impact would affect Canada than it would affect the United States. Both will be impacted, don't get me wrong, but I think that's the thing that Trump is trying to leverage is he understands this. He understands the leverage that he has to try to renegotiate, regardless if we agree or not, to try to put the U.S. in a better position. Supposedly, there's a lot of tariffs that are already being implemented or placed on the United States that we don't already place on other countries. I think, according to my understanding, is Trump is simply trying to get a more fair trade deal for every country that we actually have a trade offer for. Now, again, I understand that the U.S. is really big versus these countries might be much smaller, so it might not be viewed as fair. But again, the United States doesn't have to be extremely fair if they want to continue to do business with us. And of course, every country, and it might sound very entitled, but of course, every country is going to want to continue to do business with us, as again, we have the world's largest GDP. And if you compare it to Canada, I believe Texas GDP, one state alone, is more than Canada as a whole. So again, it's just understanding who has leverage and simply who does not. So with this, it doesn't sound very encouraging that Trump is going to want to make a deal based off of this message. Now, of course, the sentiment can always change, especially if things get much worse very quickly. Both may be pressured to facilitate a deal that might not be exactly what either one of them originally wanted. The second thing that I quickly want to highlight is I talked about the conflict of interest that I see with Trump and crypto. Trump has a Trump coin, which is this shit coin that he brought out. I've been very outspoken about that, where I was not in big support. That can be a completely different video. But supposedly, World Liberty Financial is the company that runs Trump coin. And supposedly, they just purchased $10 million worth of Bitcoin and $10 million worth of Ethereum. This is one day before, one day before the White House is supposed to hold a crypto summit. Now, again, I understand that it's not Trump, but this is the same way that I view Nancy Pelosi's husband being able to invest in companies that Nancy Pelosi regulates, is the conflict of interest there, right? On Friday, they're supposed to have a major crypto summit event, and these are the people that are going to be attending. We have Donald Trump, we got Bo, David Sachs, Brad, Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy, and the list goes on. Kathy Woods, we have the Solana Foundation, Ethereum Foundation, the SEC chair, Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, Binance, like all the big dogs for crypto are supposed to be there. You guys let me know what you think. I know that, again, I know I voted for the dude, but if we see something that can look like a conflict of interest, we have to call it out for what it is, right? Just like if Biden did something like this, I wouldn't want anyone to just overlook it because they're Democrat, right? And the same thing with us is if we're going to want the same standard for everyone, we need to make sure that we hold everyone to that same expectation and standard as well. And I just simply don't think that this is fair. Trump is affiliated and is part owner of the Trump coin, which is affiliated with World Liberty Financial. World Liberty Financial is buying millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars before this major event that is supposed to or possibly push crypto to new highs. Because again, some of the most powerful people in the crypto industry are now going to be given the platform of the White House. Again, in my opinion, somewhat of a conflict of interest. With that being said, I wanted to make sure that I talk about the good and the bad news. How do I see tomorrow with this crypto summit playing out? That's the part that I mean, no one can predict the future. All I know is that if Trump is affiliated with this coin and all he's ever been able to or tried to do is talk good about crypto, and that really sounds like he's been bullish on crypto, I just wouldn't be surprised if anything good is said. I've seen Bitcoin and crypto push up for lesser reasons. And that's all I want to say about that is crypto is oversold, speaking based off of recent patterns. It has tanked quite a bit. Same thing with MSTR. It's tanked quite a bit. So it is a little bit more on the oversold side. So it wouldn't take much to create some buying pressure or cause it to try to recover. Do I think that it's going to be long-lived? No, I still believe that crypto markets will never do well while overall markets are not doing well. because when there's fear in the market, when inflation is going up, when trade war is still going on, it simply doesn't give crypto markets the environment to do well long term. Can markets pump? Of course. Anytime markets can continue to pump for a short period of time. Just please understand that, especially if you have a short position, I want you to be aware, in my opinion, this is a very, very dangerous time to have a risky time to have a short position when we're so oversold that the recovery potential outweighs the profit potential on the downside. It doesn't mean that you can't make money shorting. It just means that maybe it's not the safest play. At least that's the way that I see it, and that's the way that I wanted to express it. So I believe that staying cash is better than having an open short position during such a critical time of, on Friday, this White House crypto summit event is supposed to happen, and I see this as a possible positive catalyst for crypto. And because of that, I'm just staying out of any shorts, waiting for it to play out. And if markets pump, I view that as a great opportunity to wait for them to peak and then open up a short position then. Just like when we saw that Trump announced that crypto or the Bitcoin reserve, they pumped up for a short period of time. Everyone got really excited. We waited for them to peak, and then we had one of our biggest days shorting the market and shorting crypto and shorting MSTR as they completely crashed, right? And returned back to previous levels. I would rather be someone that waits for an opportunity like that than someone that tries to predict for something to happen. So very excited to follow up. I hope that earned your thumbs up. I wish you guys nothing but the best. Good luck today. I'm going to be flying back to Arizona. So by the time you see this video, it's going to be scheduled. I won't actually be probably available, and I hope to see you for tomorrow's live trading session. If you want to tune on in, second link in the description down below. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. You'll get to watch me trade live every single day. It's designed for complete beginners, and it breaks down to $1.35 a day with the current sell we have going on. Second link down below. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.